Were there any awkward moments like this on set because you had to sing and you couldn't talk?
I loved it so much, and I will not pull an Anne Hathaway. So I'm curious what you think, why you think Anne Hathaway was compelled to personally reach you. And secondly, if you anticipate anybody else reaching you, and maybe it's for something a little bit more heart-lighted, like a story that I love of yours was your Ryan Gosling. By the way, I binged your entire series on this ever since the Blake Lively thing, and I'm not a binge watcher. I binge start to finish. It's so entertaining. And even though I'm so jaded and know this world, but I loved your Ryan Gosling story of when you were totally forthright. You were like, I had a little crush on him and I tried to flirt and it just fell flat. Like it was just not happening. So would you expect, it sounded so endearing. So would you expect anybody, good or bad, to reach you again, and why? And like I said, the first thing of why you think Anne.
No, the thing is, I was so shocked when that happened. The thing is, when I posted that interview, it wasn't a video about Anne Hathaway. I did a long video about when I embarrassed myself, because that's what I do a lot. I'm trying to show people like I made an edit of myself. I tried something, it didn't work. It did work with all the other actors, but it didn't work with her. And that was my point of showing that, I thought I had this smart question, which I still think is quite funny, to be honest with you.
Can you explain to everybody what you did?
Because so it was a musical, and it was Les Misérables. And I think musicals sometimes, it must be ridiculous. It must feel a bit ridiculous being, acting in a musical, because you have to sing like conversations. And you don't even talk to each other. You don't have a dialogue. You're just singing the dialogue. And I think that's quite, it must feel a bit strange acting in those scenes. So I thought, I'm going to sing an interview, and then I'm going to sing a question to them. And I figured out a really interesting, it's not even interesting, but I figured out a question to ask that kind of put that into perspective. So I sang, do you want me to sing it?
Yes. Well, you don't have to if you don't want.
No,
I would not warm up.
You're welcome to sing it, but I'm not.
What you did? Okay, no one wants to hear that but my shower or my 8th grade production.
No. I just did an Anne Hathaway, and you didn't realize that.
However, I will say that was good. However, I will say, she's the pro singer.
Yeah. Anyway, so my question was, were there any awkward moments like this on set because you had to sing and you couldn't talk?
I loved it so much, and I will not pull an Anne Hathaway. So basically what you did was, right, you sung the question and asked them to do it back. And some of them, like Hugh Jackman, he put on a full-blown Phantom of the Opera, like went for it. And it was so much fun, right? And she was like, shut that shit down, like mine down.
She's like, I'm not going to do that, but you're more than welcome to sing.
That's
basically what she said. And then I thought, when I was sitting there, I thought, why are you so mean? And I thought, okay, I'm going to do it anyways. I didn't expect her to sing back. And that's what people have been saying to me. Like, why did you sing? She said she didn't want to sing. And I'm like, I said I was going to sing, but I didn't expect her to sing back. But whatever, the whole thing was that she was just being very dismissive of me, and she didn't give me any answers during the rest of the interview. It was like, no, I don't know. Yeah, it was very. So
what do you think it was all these years later that compelled her to respond? And also, like I said, my feeling was that it was maybe something personal going on behind the scenes in her life. Fine. I ask you because I remember asking Kristen Bell this very question. She was on, who's the greatest, by the way. I don't know if you've interviewed her, like consistently great every time.
Yeah.
And I asked her this very question of like, what, because I was interviewing her husband for his movie, and he's also the coolest, Dak Shepard. And I was like, you guys are so cool. Like, why are these other A-listers such dicks? And she basically said this idea of like, sometimes we're people, we're just having a bad day. So does the Anne Hathaway reaching out to you and what she said, like, does it make you think differently about that? Or are you still like, sorry, like no excuses, I don't want to hear it, people?
I mean, everyone can have a bad day, but the thing is, uh, I was having a horrible year that year. I was like in deep grief, you know. I was going through something really horrific, but I wouldn't use that as an excuse to treat other people badly. You know, in a job setting when I have agreed to interview someone, if I wasn't in feeling it, I would say I can't do that interview because I am not feeling good. I am in a bad place right now. You know, I'm sure you can be excused for these things if you have a good excuse.
Yeah.
I just don't think that, you know, just having a bad day and letting it out on people like that. You know, I don't know if you saw the Chris Pratt comment yesterday in People magazine where he came out and said, you know,
Oh, yeah, I
people,
did. Yeah.
yeah, you know, he said people come on set with a bad attitude and I don't have no like patience with that.
I
And he
love
said,
it.
oh, you poor thing, living your
I
dream and
love
having
it.
a hard time, you know.
I
So
and he walks the walk, by the way. Every time I have a great story with him I can share on your show, but he's like
yeah,
great consistently as well every time. But it's like true. It's like saddle up. What is this? Sorry, it's not kindergarten. We're not gonna hold your hand. Like,
no, exactly. So I mean, I did appreciate that she did say she was sorry, and I was very shocked that she did. But I don't know if she would have done it if it wasn't for Blake Lively. I have to be
oh, do
honest
you
with
think that's
you.
because it became so huge and it's like kind of
Yeah,
covering saving face?
yeah. Because she wouldn't even have noticed. I mean, that video of them singing and she not wanting to sing, that was on my channel for 10 years.
Yeah.
So, and no one really,
Yeah.
you know, did anything about it. So
I wonder.
I didn't post the whole interview with her because I
Yeah.
was told to put that down after I posted it back then because she came off as unfriendly.
Yeah.
So someone that was working there said, please take it down because I don't know, I don't want you to get in trouble. And I did. Back then I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So, but
Totally
the other singing thing when she said, I don't want to sing, you can do it. That was up there for all these years.
You're like I sober. You're like it wasn't. You're pulling a friend. You're like it wasn't my day by week, my month, or even by year. And I shook it off. Like, what is your excuse? Do you think that she reached you in because she didn't know you would share it, right? So do you think it was in hopes that you would and kind of like I said, save face, or do you think it was completely genuine? Like I said, what do you think really compelled her? Because that is pretty shocking, right? Because they're so above it all because of these systems of enabling complacency.
I don't know. I don't want to be cynical.
Sure.
But I feel like, you know, I don't know her intentions because I don't know her personally.
Right.
But I think it was great for her that she did, you know, because you know, she did what Blake Lively probably should have done to avoid the damage that it caused her. So yeah, I don't know her intentions, but I mean, I thought it was nice that she did apologize. And I asked her, you know, if she wanted to sit down with me and talk about it. And she's like, yeah, well, you can come and interview me for my next movie.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I asked her, if she wanted me to share that she had apologized. I said, I won't share what's in the email, but do you want me to share that you apologize? Because I thought that was in her interest. And she said, yes, you do. You feel like you need to do to keep your followers in the loop or whatever. So, yeah, I think, yeah, but the thing is, why I think it's so big of her to do it is because we know that in Hollywood, if you admit to a mistake that you've done, that's a liability. And people don't do that here because then you admit from doing a mistake and people are afraid it's going to hurt their career. So no one here really ever says sorry.
It's a culture of silence. And sadly, it permeates into even more serious topics like you're talking about, whether it be Me Too, like all of these circles and systems upheld. And I think that's what taps into the bigger picture of all of this. Be it like, that's why I love what you're doing so much, because not only does it speak to media and public figures and like, you know, the people in our culture who really affect us, but all of us, right? And really exposing like, kindness and common human decency, and how it's not hard. And so it could be something as, minute as Blake Lively being flippant and not being nice to you, to something like a Harvey Weinstein or a P. Diddy, right? So that's why I think, like, while we could write it off as like, oh, celebrity culture, that's what you're really, the hot button, like the iron you're striking, so to speak, right?